Hello and welcome. This is another Shutter community call. My name is Tatu. I'm working on communications at Brainbot, contributing to Shutter. This is community calls happen every 2 weeks. So this time we're going to be going over some quick updates, and that's about it. So let's hear from Anthony.
Yeah, thanks. So it's been about a couple weeks where we started our retro rewards program. It's been a quite of an exciting experience, something we're experimenting with. But we wanted to go and put out an opportunity where we can get the community involved with creating content about Shutter and educating others about what's been happening, and also sharing, I guess, some rewards with them for participation. So far we've received two entries, which has been great, and they've been great entries. Really going and communicating a little about Shutter and what it's about. But we're still open for more entries, and we'll be doing voting towards the end at the end of the month. So for those that are listening right now, or those that will be listening later, we're looking for people to go and submit content about Shutter for the retro rewards. And for this month, 20,000 shoe is up for grabs, and that will be distributed according to the votes that received by the community. And then for next month, we'll be starting a new one starting September 1st, which I believe, what is that, Sunday? Or, yeah, Sunday. And that'll be 40,000 shoe up for grabs on that, a doubling of that. So for those that are here, if you want to participate, just do some thinking of what kind of content that best communicates Shutter, what it's about, and what we're trying to do. And then post it on your social channels. And then after you've gone and published it, go and drop it in the Retro Rewards channel with some of the details about it. And do it before the end of the month. That way you can get rewarded for your contributions. So that's all that I have for that. And beyond that, we've been running a little bit of Galaxy Rewards campaigns as well. And it's something that we're going to try to ramp up and do a little bit more on that. So that's something where we're going to try to put in a few more Galaxy activities over the next month. I think we're going to be doing it to where people can join a raffle for particular activities, such as completing a shutterized transaction on Gnosis Chain, and doing some other activities as well. So more details about that will be shared at the beginning of the month. But those are some of the interesting new community engagement things that we're looking to do. Passing back to you, Tatu.
And yeah, in regards to the retro rewards program, if you happen to be a token holder of one of the 7 tokens, so there's a minimum of $100 worth, which was calculated around mid-August. And so if you happen to be a holder of those tokens, you can get the role for Retro Rewards voter here at the Discord, and then you are able to also join in as voter in deciding how the prize pool gets distributed. So just quickly going to go over if you have, so if you're a token holder of Hopper, Olas, Shu, Golem, Jelem, Gnosis, Geno, Kleros, PNK, USD Glow or OP tokens, then you should definitely get the role also and join in deciding how these rewards are distributed to the contributors. All right. So what we have on the updates, there was a recent, just half an hour ago or so, post on X Twitter by Shutter. If you want to check it out, there's a nice thread about decentralizing L2 sequencers, the importance of censorship resistance. So a good read. Check it out. What has been happening in the past 2 weeks also is Shutter is live on the new Conduit Marketplace. So if you're not familiar with it, Conduit is a roll-up as a service platform. Their marketplace provides different modules, tools, plugins for adding to your rollup. So Shutter is there if you would be anyone that would be interested in having Shutter integrated to their rollup can also do that through the Conduit Marketplace now. And some updates from the Shutter DAO 0x36 as a community. There's a few different proposals going on at the Shutter forum. There's some economic parameters for the staking still being discussed. There's a funding proposal for DAppNode integration with the Shutter Keeper software, proposal for the staking mechanisms, indexing and hosting. Check those out if you feel like uh, checking out the discussion. And of course, they are most likely going to be proposals going into votes in the near future. So also keep an eye on that. And in terms of recent votes for the DAO 0x36, there's now about 2.5 hours, I believe, left on the proposal number 27. It has met quorum, so it will be a valid vote. And this is about sponsoring ETH Milan, the event. So if you have not voiced your opinion, go vote. It's a cool event. We were there with each other last year, and looks like we might be there again this year. Yeah, I don't know, like the Bolt alpha release happened, so that's also something you can check out if you're interested. So Shutter is there as a community member in a sense. So Chainbound and Bolt alpha release did the Helder testnet release, which is gonna, you can check out more of that if you're interested. And yeah, I don't think there's too much. Anything else, any you wanna mention?
So those are all the updates that we have at the moment. And so there's going to be more stuff during the next session. We're going to be doing a number of things over the next month. We're looking to launch a dashboard that'll be given a little bit of a bird's eye view of what's been happening on the Gnosis chain. So Lewis, maybe he can share a little bit about that in a second. And then also, we're looking to have staking over the next few weeks as well, hopefully this month. But Lewis, do you want to go and just give a little bit of update within that space?
Yeah, gladly. Yeah, so sorry for being late. I think maybe you can just take it top down, sort of a general sort of update. And if you so I think last call already we've been discussing about this, sort of the where we've been working on for the next Gnosis chain milestone, which is a release, the Shutterized Gnosis chain release, which is really focused on A, stability, and B, kind of transparency into what's actually happening under the hood of the system. So one thing we've been developing is this dashboard, which has sort of 2 or 3 different views on different aspects of the system. And we're sort of finished with the back end there, and then we have a mock-up for the design as well. So quite close to having a first workable version of this live, and we wrap all of this into a new release essentially. And then we're also very excited about, in this same milestone, or shortly after maybe, or in the same milestone, the Nethermind client, which is the counterpart to the Shutter system on the Gnosis chain side, will have an official client release, including the shutterization. So that'll be important kind of for the relevance of this Gnosis chain in general. And then we also touched on staking. So that's, just to recap, that's the V1 staking for Shutter in general. So that's essentially a two-pronged system. One is focused on keeper staking. So and this is connected to keeper accountability and keeper slashing in the future. That means Shutter keepers who are running virtual encryption nodes will be, or I suppose, or are proposed to be required to stake a certain amount of SHU tokens to be able to provide this, to be able to be part of the keeper set, essentially. That's the one aspect of it. And the other aspect is that anyone, any SHU holders, will be able to stake SHU tokens and delegate, especially delegate SHU tokens to keepers. So that's basically saying, it's basically a delegate, kind of a derivative of a delegated proof of stake system where where anyone can sort of delegate tokens to the keeper that they sort of trust and support, and this then signals really relevance and support for that keeper, and that can then also be used by the DAO to select keepers and select trustworthy keepers that have a lot of stake accumulated. And there is currently, there's this economic proposal that the DAO members have worked on, which proposes essentially a certain amount of SHU tokens that will be in those smart contracts to be dispersed, and it also proposes a kind of a SHU per second dispersal rate. So this, so this, so staking, people are staking, and then they earn rewards based on that, essentially dispersal rate. That's kind of those two updates on the dashboard and the staking mechanism. And Blockful, the developer house working on the staking mechanism, has just last week finished their side of the development work, and now we are in the sort of audit phase. We have a separate proposal, so all of this decentralized, right? It's awesome. There was a separate RFP for the audit, and there was an auditor selected, and he is currently working on the audit, and then hopefully everything goes well, and there's hopefully there's not a lot of issues to be found, and then this can be set live sort of at any point in the next couple of weeks or 1 or 2 months, depending on also how the DAO decides that they want to set it live.
Thank you, Louis, for that update. So, anything else you want to talk about, Louis? I've already gone over most of the update items, what's been happening. If you want to mention anything more about those, I just give a brief mention of what has happened. And Anthony went over some of the retro rewards updates and last chances to participate. But something you want to bring up?
Did you touch on this decentralizing L2 sequences topic, or should
I mentioned that people should read the thread, but if you want to give more insights into that, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, just because it's popping up currently, like lots of sort of thought leaders in the sequencer and L2 space are currently talking about sequencer decentralization, and it's not a new topic, right? It's been people are working on it since a long time, and we've been thinking a lot about it and how it sort of relates to the encrypted mempool. And as Pedro said, I recommend checking out this tweet and just having a thought about kind of how all of it works together, because essentially I think people aren't really thinking ahead and aren't really thinking about why they decentralize the sequencer, right? And if you think about it, the primary goal of decentralizing the sequencer should be censorship resistance. Because if you don't need censorship resistance, then why do you centralize the sequencer? I mean, all the properties of the L1 essentially are, you're inheriting the security properties of L1, so it's not entirely clear what the goal would be other than censorship resistance. And let's say your goal is censorship resistance, then I think rollups should take a close look at their exact kind of sequencer decentralization path and strategy, because they might also be able to not have to decentralize sequencer, but rather encrypt the transactions, right? And if you encrypt transactions, it's very hard to censor because you don't see what's in the transactions, right? So sort of like what it means is the benefits that rollups would aim to get with sequencer decentralization can maybe also achieved with encrypting transactions, which might in a lot of cases might be less complex and less sort of latency, less problematic for latency. Yeah, and then also it can also be combined, right? You can also have a decentralized sequencer and encrypted mempool. That's how we would recommend, like have all of it essentially. But for a lot of rollups, and we're talking to, for example, some of these rollups that come from centralized exchanges. So, for example, the OKX X layer, and they told us they're not actually interested in decentralizing the sequencer because, well, they're a centralized exchange, and they don't even want to share the rewards of the sequencer operation. So in their case, we think it's really like it's a really good path to not decentralize sequencer, but rather add the encrypted mempool, kind of get a lot of the benefits from decentralization without having to decentralize. So
And in that regard also, especially maybe for the listeners especially, it's maybe important to think about why does censorship resistance matter. So even though there are different trust assumptions with L1 and L2, and Ethereum L1 has so much validators that if one of them sensors to use, does it matter? On rollup with the centralized sequencer, there's a lot different trust assumptions, and also like just the topic of thinking about why does it matter and what could it potentially lead to. Okay. Anything else? No more comments from Luis.
I think it's good. I mean, I think the general Shutter ecosystem is we're not releasing any big news right now, but there's a number of dev houses, Rembot, Blockful, Esotropic, which are working on the OLAS implementation, and then also Polycrypt, which are working on the Shutter TEE proposal. They'll be submitting the final grant application soon to get paid, to get the grant. So we have these at least 4 dev houses working heads down on interesting stuff. But yeah, it's really this middle heads down phase where we're not necessarily major releases every week, but rather kind of concentrating on building stuff, and then I think this investment will pay off in the future, and there will be a lot of exciting things to come that also I think work together nicely. So it'll be super interesting to follow all of these dev houses. Yeah?
Yes, so that, as mentioned, do keep an eye out on the retro rewards and Galaxy campaigns. Participate. They are happening monthly, so there's updates and new things each month. Voters get the role, participate in deciding whose contribution is worth rewarding by voting. And so we're going to wrap it up this time. Thanks everyone who joined us here for live. Thanks anyone who's going to be checking out the recording perhaps. Make sure to join the Shutter forum for more in-depth discussions on the governance of Shutter ecosystem. Do subscribe to the blog. That's where the bigger items are going to be coming up. And of course, follow on X Twitter. If you're here, you're already on part of the Shutter Discord. So thank you. And as mentioned, these community calls happen every 2 weeks. So hope to see you in the next one. And thank you and bye.
So yeah.
Bye, guys.